Record. What's up, guys? Okay, people still. Oh, she's on. That's Cyrah. That's on 702 Vegas.
That was Vegas.
What up, guys? It's Cyrah Hawkins. Been in the business 3 years, 9 months. Wow, 3 years and 9 months. Loving it. Current Pin Millionaire team. Started a product. In my first 90 days, I lost 27 pounds. Absolutely loved it. I didn't know I needed to lose that much weight. Lost 3 inches around my waist. Had so much energy, I was jumping over my car to get inside of it. Met my lovely wife, Meagher. She's eating. She's been in the business 3 years. You got to feed those abs, right? She did a killer workout today. So she's been in business 3 years. She gained 12 pounds of lean mass, and she started paying it forward to people just like I did. And my first month, I made $55, which was amazing because I was a bartender at a strip club, and they wasn't tipping me. They was tipping the strippers. So I got fired by making shakes behind the bar and selling those, and I got fired. So I fired my boss, and then every time I got a check, it became bigger and bigger and bigger. Last month, $4,000, guys, in 1 month, $4,000, which is great because me and my wife are newlyweds. We get to do things that we get to do. We get to substitute teach when we want to. We get to travel. And we have a lot of financial freedom, which means we can help more people and share this with more people. So we're absolutely loving it. Today is an absolute treat. I don't know if you guys know your lineage, but I'll spit it for you. So if you're on this call, that means that you're either my frontline, which means you went to myherbalife.com and got an Herbalife member package through me. I'm your sponsor, or through somebody on this call who I sponsor or who they sponsor, and so on and so forth. So you all know and love, please say the Super Mario, our upline 15K president's team, right? You guys know who Super Mario is. That's my sponsor. He sent me a text when I was in the shower. I looked in the mirror. I said, give me what you got. I signed up. The rest is history, right? His sponsor, Garen Jones, 30K, senior executive, okay? You guys know and love him. He's just the magical, what do you call him? He's just like a whatever, a male fairy. Yeah, a pony. Like he just vomits rainbows, right? He just speaks life into people. So you guys know who Garen Jones is. He's pretty much the Herbalife. And then his sponsor is Brian Holyfield. Okay, and the thing about me, Super Mario, and Garen, we all played flag football together in the same league, so we all knew each other. Brian Holyfield did a face-to-face with his clipboard and found Garen at a place called Runyon Canyon in Los Angeles, California, invited him to a workout, a fit camp or a fit club, whatever you want to call it, and then Garen seen the vision. He came to a nutrition club, and the rest is history. Now, when you talk about Brian Holyfield, who's, I never know, and maybe Sean can tell me, but he's either the first or second African-American president's team member in Herbalife in North America. And he just changed the whole game with a lot of stuff. And how I heard this story, that's why I'm glad we can hear from the horse's mouth. How I heard this story, Sean found Brian by sampling him a half a canister of cookies and cream shake and I believe some raspberry tea. And he got results in 1 week. He shredded his body fat and lost a couple pounds. And then he said, I'm in. So if you don't know who Sean Meagher is, I posted a video in the group. This is the guy that does ultra runs. This is the guy that does all kind of endurance events. Just a crazy athlete, ex-Navy SEAL. I mean, he's just amazing. He was one of the pillars and one of the people who started the Herbalife 24 nutrition line. Raise your hand and say I if you like Herbalife 24. Let Rebuild Strength say I. Yeah. So that's this guy that kind of kicked that off. And his sponsor is Mark and Jill Addy. So you guys know I'm one of the Addy kids. Like that's what got me going. When I went to that nutrition club, I seen it and I was like, I want to do it. And then if you talk about their sponsor, that gets kind of up, but it's a guy named Andrew Copeman from Australia. You quote me if I'm wrong, but we have Mr. Drury, who is a chairman's club, who I met one time, and he just looked like a freaking vampire or something. I'm like, I was just drawn to him. I'm just like, touch me. So it's crazy, man. It's really good that we get to learn our lineage and we get to pay it forward and we get to hear the stories. So pretty much the story with this guy, when I first joined the business September 18th, 2012, I've seen him come around. I've heard him talk on stage. I remember watching him going from millionaire team to president's team, even though I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was a big deal. And he's so humble and he's so real, and I relate to him so much. And we had a call yesterday just setting some intention for this call. And we have such a similar background. It's crazy. Even, you know, where Megan's from, we're up here in the Bay Area. He's like from here. It's so much in common, you know, the whole military thing. And I just love hearing this guy talk. I'll just give you one thing that changed me. He might not know this. I don't think he knows this. But when he received his president's team pin on stage, he got pinned by Mark and Jill Addy. He got on stage and said what he said, but at the end of his speech, he just said, hey, guys, and one more thing, throw away your TVs. He said that at a STS, at a success training seminar, he told everybody, he said, just throw away your TVs. I didn't watch TV for like 3 years after that. I was like, nope, I'd like sold my PlayStation, sold my TV like on Craigslist. I was like, I'm not doing it. He hit president's team. He said, don't watch TV. I was not watching TV. I don't know what's on. What was that? I don't know what's on Game of Thrones. I don't know what's on Orange is the New Black. I don't know what, what's the Carrie Thornton? What's her name? Not Carrie Thornton. Carrie Scandal. I don't know what Scandal is. Don't ask me. So let me introduce to some and present to others. 15K executive president's team members. Our great-great-great-grandfather, Sean Meagher. Let's get it. Mr. 24 right here. I'll unmute you, sir. It's all on you.
Oh, nice. I'm good to go?
You good to go.
Man, it's awkward seeing my face on that screen. But hey, guys, thanks for jumping on the call. I'm going to see if I can get rid of my own face. I don't know how to do it. I can't look at myself doing this. All right. So thank you, Cyrah. I really am grateful for everybody jumping on the call. And even if there was no one on the call, I'm grateful for Cyrah for asking me to do the call. I think in my experience, like anytime someone asks you to do something like this, you get an opportunity to reflect on, for me, it's been 10 years in September for Herbalife. But, it's given me an opportunity to kind of like go, okay, well, what are the things that made a difference for me? What are the things that are, I guess for you guys hopping on the call, I have to think like what's going to be valuable for people to hear. And I really don't know. And so Cyrah and I got on the call yesterday and we set an intention for the call. So I'll invite all you guys to do the same thing, which is pretty much how I have the same pattern of things that I do from years back when I started in the business. And I'll tell my story and my product result. But with Mark and Jill Addy and my roommate, who, if you guys don't know who Jake Dwyer is, he's also a 15K executive president's team member, 9 years in the business. But still one of my best friends to this day. And I learned so much and soaked it up like a sponge just being around these guys. And today, as I get back to work, and I'll get into that in a minute, I really haven't been working the way that I used to just because I don't know. I'll think about that. But when I go back to work, I go, okay, what are the things that I did that made a difference? And how am I going to plan my work my plan, put that all together so that I could be effective, I could be intentional, I can track my numbers. And I wanted to look back and go, okay, what of this stuff is going to even make sense for you guys? Because some people, they get on stage or they do their trainings and they have a lot of methods. They can tell you, do this, do that, do this, and you're going to build a business. That's not exactly what I do. I probably could try to do that, but I think in recognizing the things that are useful are, this is how I'm going to use an analogy, like bake a chocolate chip cookie. And if you were to do that, you'd have a list of ingredients. You'd have like, say, flour, salt, starch, chocolate chips. You'd preheat the oven. You'd have all these different things. And I like this analogy because you can have all those ingredients. And let's say you don't preheat the oven. Let's say you put all the ingredients in the bowl, but you don't stir it. And you don't do it in the correct order, you're not going to get the same result. And that actually happened to me in high school. I was in one of those home ec classes. I had all the right ingredients because they give them to you. And I missed something. I messed something up and it looked like a cookie. It smelled like a cookie, but when you ate it, it tasted like SHI, you know what. So in business, I've noticed this reoccurring theme. And I guess that's the only thing that I feel really like, okay, if I'm going to share something, one, I can tell you guys a story. It'll be entertaining. And you go, oh, well, that was a fun story. That's what happened for that guy. But what about me? And then a lot of people, I just speak to the people that are really here because maybe they want to make money. I don't know if it's taboo to be talking about money because there is a lot of, there's a lot of health results and a lot of people come here and they go, I want to help people so much. I want to change people's lives. And that's really cool, but it's not why I started at all. I started because I trusted my sponsor, my mentor, Mark Addy, and I knew whatever that guy was doing, I wanted to be a part of it. He was a person, him and his wife, I just said, wow, these are such nice people. If I can link arms with these guys, I'll be okay. You know, as long as it's not breaking the law, it's within integrity, and I'm not compromising any, of my health, let's do it. All right, I'm going to move this, and I'll get into my story. So what I did was I was kind of curious. I started in 2006. And like I said, my background before Herbalife I dropped out of high school when I was 17 years old, and I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. So I took a year, I trained, I joined the Navy, and I went into the process that you start of going into boot camp, and then you go to what's called A school, and you graduate from A school, and then you go to BUD/S. So I did this whole year-long process to get into the Navy SEALs, and over time that didn't work out. I got out of the military, and all of my plans had been, I don't care about anything. I'm going to be an operator, and I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. I don't need to do anything. And so when I got out, all of my friends at that time, I think I was 24 years old, people were graduating from college, and they already had their degrees. I remember looking at, there was no Facebook, but I do remember going home and, oh, your buddy, yeah, he's a realtor. And I saw people driving cars, and I just was like, man, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to college? Am I going to start now? People are graduating. And at 24, I know this is funny, but some of you guys might be 24. I felt old. I felt like, it's too late. Can't go to school. And I didn't want to go to school. I also grew up in a family where people didn't go work for somebody else. My mom was a single mom, and she was a hustler. And meaning that whatever she had to do, she went out to go make money. She was a real estate agent, but if there was no real estate, then she had to work some other job. So I didn't grow up looking at people going, all right, I'm going to go get a college degree. I come from a small town. There wasn't a nice college around. And had I grew up in LA, and maybe someone took me down to LA or UCLA, and they were like, look at this campus, look at all these girls, I would have been like, oh man, college is great. But to me, college was more of high school, and I hated high school. And so just long story short, my plans didn't include getting a degree and going to work for somebody else, especially coming out of the military. I didn't have problems with authority, but I didn't want to do that anymore. I'd had enough. So it looked like either I was going to do real estate, and then I pretty much had my mind made up on being a firefighter like my dad. I didn't feel like that was an employee job. So at that time in my life, 2006, I run into Mark Addy at a personal development seminar. I'd gone through a really bad breakup, and anyone that's done that, it's just like, well, what am I going to do? So I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. I met this guy, Mark, and they had a really great plan. And I was like, I'm in. I didn't know, about this whole, when you get started, it was $100. I didn't have $100 for the kit. So I said, I'm really sorry. I don't have the $100. I'll get it to you this week. And I think he thought I was blowing him off. He took off, and I ended up, if I actually back it up, on the first phone call I had with Mark, I told him I'd call him back. I said, it's not for me. Thank you very much. And I said, no. And he actually ended up calling me back, and I looked at the phone number, and I was like, do I want to talk to this guy? He was so nice. I was like, I picked it up. He's like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just go mountain biking? I know you don't want to do the business. And I said, you know what, let's get together. So I almost didn't sit down with Mark. I sat down with Mark. He mapped out the business for me. And I was like, I'm in. I didn't really understand it. I didn't have the money. So what I did is I went out and I got my first client without being I wasn't a member of Herbalife or anything. I called my mom and I said, hey mom, I got these products and I'm going to be working with this guy. Will you be my first client? She said, yeah. And I was like, send me a check. So she sent me a check for her products. And I was like, when I get the products, I'll send them to you. So I used that money to get my distributor kit. And I'll speed up my story, but I'm reminiscing myself. So hopefully in that story, for me, what that's done for me in the course of all of Herbalife, though, I can tell you, wherever you guys are at with your personal story, it's important because it's going to set you up for the rest of your time in Herbalife. I did know that my first month in the business was going to be the story that I told for the rest of my life. It was also going to set the bar for what I expect from other people. And not that I demanded of them, but I just had this silent, like, some people say they want it, and then some people actually go out there and they do it. And I really like working with people that didn't say anything. They just went and did it. And I always thought that was a really cool thing. It's a little bit different now with Facebook and everything. But so I got the products out to my mom, and my first month in business, I started on the 16th of the month. So my month was 2 weeks. I did over 14,500 volume points. I made over $4,000. The math on that was always really hard because I was tracking my wholesale and I had got a couple supervisors, but I hit world team in 2 weeks. In the very first couple months that they had created that promotion. And in order to do that, I had to hit 4,000. I remember I hit 4,000 and they're like, okay, you're a supervisor. And then anyone that knows the marketing plan, they were like 6,000 more and you're going to be this thing called World Team. And I was like, yeah. So I did 6,000 more and they go, well, bad news. Your 4,000 qualified you as a supervisor. So that doesn't count towards your World Team. You got to do another 4,000. So that's why I did those big numbers. I had something to shoot for. So if you guys are just starting out and I know everything right now, it's really about like, okay, let's get these trial packs out. Let's get people product results. It's not about recruiting people into the business. Everything is a lot different. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about now, I don't want you to go, well, I heard Sean did this. And it's not like that anymore. They don't want you to do that anymore. And it doesn't make sense. And to be honest with you, a lot of those clients that I got in those first couple months, I had no idea what to do with them. I actually was avoiding phone calls because I was afraid. I didn't know what people were going to say. So people would call me and then they'd actually leave me a message. And most of my volume was from referrals. So I'd listen to the message and they'd be like, Sean, is it cool if I give your aunt my number? And I'm like, oh God, all right. Okay, yes. And so having all of these people get these product results gave me a lot of confidence. And for the next couple months, I did really well. I got a lot of clients. My follow-up was horrible. I didn't know how to, I was so uncomfortable asking for money from people that a lot of times I would just give them the product and I'm like, oh, just pay me later. And so I learned so many lessons that you guys are either going to learn or not going to learn or avoid, but I encourage you to keep a journal. That's the only way that you can go back and study I've gotten better at this. You have to constantly look at where you're getting better because I can actually go back. I've got books and books and books of notes from all the trainings that I've been to. And it's interesting to see this was my goal. And this is the things that they were talking about in the training. And when we look at where we're at right now with the business, it's almost like come full circle. So I'm just going to blow through my story. I did get started on the products. I didn't expect to get results. I had it in my head that I was just a skinny guy. I was never going to gain any muscle. And I ended up, with no intention of gaining like 7 pounds of muscle, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm pretty into numbers and I hear people saying they gained like 20 pounds of muscle. It's not possible. I mean, like in the time that they say it. It took me about 3 months down the line, I had gotten on a scale because it was never a problem for me to do anything. Doing the same working out that I had done, my body had put on this muscle and it was like, whoa. Oh my gosh, I'm not a skinny guy. I can gain muscle and I've been neglecting this part of my workout, which is the nutrition on the front end and on the back end my whole entire life. So for me, it was this exciting thing because, this is kind of funny, but so I'm in LA, I'm out of the military. We're going to fast forward. I was stationed in San Diego, Coronado Island. My uncle is working in the film industry and he says, Shawnee, he goes, come up to LA and come work for me. He works in movies. And so that's how I ended up in LA. And I had done a couple of years in film and I realized like, this is not what I want to do. I don't love it. It was great. The people were great. I had a good experience, but I was 26 years old and it was like, you're either going to do this and make it a career or you're going to hurry up and figure out what you want to do. So let's see, that's when I met Mark. I started in the Herbalife business. I had gotten a studio apartment. I was so excited about it. It was literally, I think if anyone's ever been to LA, the apartment buildings, a lot of them used to be like old Motel 6s. So if you can imagine having a hotel room that you lived in, it was a room. It had a bathroom that you could like stand in it. And it didn't have a kitchen. It had a sink that was like a cocktail sink with it didn't even work. So I had to do my dishes in the bathtub. The rent was $820. I remember talking to my neighbor, and he's like, I said, how much is a 1-bedroom? And he said, $1,400. And I'm like, how the hell do people have any money to do anything if they're paying $1,400? So you can understand, like, money for me, this concept, if people ever said they had a 6-figure income, I had no idea what that was, even though obviously it means there's a comma and there's, 100,000 plus. I thought 6-figure was an expression like 5-star restaurant, 6-figure income, that guy makes money. I had no idea. So wherever you guys are at, and you're probably way further ahead than where I was at, I didn't have huge income goals, but I did have a goal. I was like, if I can make $100 a day, the reasoning on the math is just weird. I figured a personal trainer made about $20 an hour on average. If they had 5 clients a day, that was $100. If you worked 5 days a week, because you wanted the weekends off, you would be making $500 a week. And I was like, wow, $2,000 a month, I'll be set. So that was my goal, you guys. I didn't have, even though I was writing down $10,000 a month, I just had no concept of what that was or what you would do with that money. And I think the reason I'm bringing that up is because there are the biggest pitfall that I see today in Herbalife is Facebook or social media or comparing yourself. I didn't have that problem. The homework that I did before I got on this call today, other than talking to Cyrah yesterday, I looked up 2006 and I was trying to find out what was going on in the world in 2006. So George Bush was the president. But the one that I was really interested in, I went through a bunch of real estate, nothing that really matters, but here's one that's a big one to me even today. In 2006, there were only 5.5 million people on Facebook. That's really interesting because there's 1.6 billion people on it today. 5.5 million, that's nothing on Facebook. And Facebook is just an umbrella term for Snapchat, Instagram, because they're all linked together. And one of the things that made a big difference for me back in the day when we started in Herbalife was a very white company. I know, Cyrah, you're asking, if I could clear up the story about Brian, I'll get to that. There was a lot of white people. It was a lot of overweight people. The mood, the atmosphere of Herbalife, these were good people. But if you went to an event, it was other than the clapping and the music, the part where there was testimonials, the goal was to get people emotional and cry. And nobody ever said that. So no one was like, your goal is to make people cry. I'm just telling you that if someone had a product result that was so amazing where people were just like, oh my God, he lost so much weight, this is incredible. You were just an asshole if you got up there and you had a 6-pack and you talked about how fit you were. There's no way you were going to do that. So if you guys can get in the mindset, just imagine you walk into this hotel conference room and it's a bunch of happy, clappy people. They're not young. Everybody's over 30 years old. They're older people in bad suits, right? And you guys walk in. How would you feel? And that's how it felt. It was really weird. And so I'll fast forward. So 2006, I call that our Jenny Craig phase. That was like Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers. That's how everything felt. Curves Gym, which I think went out of business, or Oprah saved, I don't know. But anyways, that whole crowd, that was Herbalife. And then what started happening is, Mark, Jill, Jake, and I, we started doing workouts. I started doing the beach boot camps, and we started to bring younger people into the business. Mind you, nobody was figured out how to make money. We got people to join the business. Sometimes people would use the products, but this whole thing, we had a lot of people that were members in the business, but we didn't have a lot of people that knew how to do the business. There just was this whole I'm going to sign up and do Herbalife. And they came to the boot camps, but they never did anything. So we had this, we were starting on this fitness trend, and it had been about 2 years, 3 years into the boot camps. I got the boot camps along with, it wasn't just me, but there was about 200, 300 people at the camp. So it was an impressive thing. It was like, whoa, what is this? The biggest thing I've ever seen. So I had been working out. I drew this on a piece of paper. I'd been working out for about a year at the time at the Santa Monica Stairs. If you guys aren't from LA, there's a lot of different places. If you're broke, I was broke. Going back to the studio apartment, by the way, I moved 3 other people. There was 4 people living in a 1-bedroom studio apartment. Not 1 bedroom, just 1 room, 1 box, about the size of the room that I'm in now. We had mattresses on the floor, and during the day, we'd put them in the closet. And the rule was you couldn't have any guests. We had rules. It was weird. So we were trying to save money, and I worked out at the Santa Monica Stairs. It was free. I didn't have money for a gym membership. 24-hour fitness was $24 a month, and I didn't have that. So just to give you guys, so you guys can get on board, this guy where I was working out for a year, I saw him every single day. And you guys know who Brian Holyfield is. So Brian Holyfield works out with his shirt off, and he's got these Beats headphones on. And I'm old school, so like if I'm working out, I don't bother you. Don't bother me. Like, we're here to work out. So I'm not into like, hey, excuse me, sir, can you take your headphones off? But he had this on his license plate. Can you guys see that? It's Black Prez. And in my head, so Cyrah, this is your question. There was 2 African-American President's Team members in Herbalife at the time. One, his name was Joseph McClendon. He looks exactly like the Reading Rainbow guy. I thought it was the Reading Rainbow guy. He's the nicest guy in the world. He's one of Tony Robbins' top trainers. Like, he puts on those seminars. His name is Joseph McClendon. There was another gentleman, and he's still around, from Jamaica. His name is Vincent Vendries, Dr. Vendries. He's a doctor in Jamaica. So we never really saw him, and he's older, 50, really just never saw the guy. And Joseph McClendon, we never saw him either. So there really was no African-American people in Herbalife. So I see this guy every single day for a year at least, probably more. And I figure out that this is his car because he has veteran plates. And I'm like, oh, there's another veteran here. And his plate says Black Prez. That's his license plate. And in my head, I'm going, oh, he's already in Herbalife. He's already a President's Team member. I already know there's no other African-American President's Team members. There's none. But I somehow convinced myself he's already in. So one day I saw him working out, and I said, hey, dude, I noticed you're a veteran, actually. I just wanted to know about that. And he goes, oh, yeah. And we started talking about that. I said, hey, tomorrow I'm going to do a workout. He was really nice. I was surprised because he's intimidating looking. And I'm like, I'm going to be here tomorrow, same time. I'm going to work out. Do you want to work out together? We'll just do this little circuit I do. And he goes, yeah. And so you're right. I did sample him the next day. I said, before you come tomorrow, don't eat breakfast. And I gave him a handful of tea, a powder. And then we had a shake. And then we did this workout. And he was super humble and really nice. And then I said, I forget what I said. I said, hey, I got this boot camp. If you're ever interested, there's a bunch of we play dodgeball. I said, come down. So he came down to the beach, and his eyes lit up. I mean, he was like, whoa, there's all these people. And for a good year, Brian, he got started in the business. It took him some time. I gave him a half a canister of shake. He was doing his own thing. And I the lesson from that was like, I never pressured anybody. And that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes you apply pressure and let him know there's a meeting. But Brian, I felt like, let the guy do what he wants to do. And fortunately, it really, really worked out. I mean, Brian had quite an it wasn't Instagram. It was Twitter. He had a Twitter following. I think he had 10,000 people. And so when he initially started, he had that entrepreneurial mindset where he was willing to go out. He took a clipboard out with him every day, and he would come back, and it would just be, he'd be like full of names. I think 100 or 120 a day. And that's what we used to do, is we used to go out, and it's not just him. But the point that I want to make about Brian, okay, and Brian's incredible. He's one of my best friends. I love the guy. And that's the thing. Like, I liked him, whether he was going to do Herbalife or not. I needed, you need those friendships. And I did the work for years. I met a lot of people. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti noodles against the wall. Some are going to stick and some aren't. And you're going to go through a lot of people, and you just treat everybody the same pretty much. And I'm not saying I did that at all. I burned a lot of people. What I mean by that is like, got to be at the meeting. You're not at the meeting. Where are you? You do that. You're going to do that. But you got to learn to just you know, let people do what they're going to do, and it takes time. And here's how I did that. I started doing this before Herbalife. It's where I met Mark, so I'm going to back it up, but it's a continuation of the things that are important to me. So if I were taking notes right now, which I don't know if you guys are, you don't have to, but the things that stand out to me, 100% personal development. If you cannot manage this, you can't deal with people. You're not going to be around. Herbalife is a roller coaster. Anything in business is a roller coaster. You're going to have times where business is blowing up and it's exploding and it's expanding, and you're going to have times where it's contracting and it's going away. So personal development, there's a lot of different forms out there. There's a lot of free personal development. I did tell you guys that I didn't even have enough money to pay rent. I would take the money that I did have and I put it into seminars. I'm not telling you guys to do that. I'm just telling you what I did. I've probably spent $20,000 on seminars before I even was a Get Team member. I put everything I had back into this. I didn't do it because someone told me to do it. Well, I did. It was Tony Robbins. I basically listened to all the, secrets of the millionaire mind. And if you want what rich and successful people have, you do what rich and successful people do. And I just was like, I burned the boats and I never looked back. Like you were saying, which I thought was awesome. I did tell people to throw away their TV. I didn't have a TV. I think I had a computer, but it wasn't mine. Today, it might not be your TV. Today, it's probably cell phones. Cell phone, even for me, like you were going through the TV shows that you don't know. Man, I was like, oh, I know what those are. So I know what Game of Thrones is. I have caught up, my friend. But yeah, when you're in your building phase, it's definitely not the best thing. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but yeah, man, if I'm going to look at vices, I've probably been watching a little too much TV, but I binge watch stuff right now. So, but when I go into building mode, yeah, TV goes away. Even my cell phone right now, I'm trying to figure out, I was hoping that they were going to come out with a flip phone, because being able to go on here, if I really just want to listen to my music or personal development, but then of course you got to check Facebook. So for you guys that are starting in the business right now, or just you've been around for years, I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest hurdles is going to be managing your time. And we live in a time where like someone texts you, if you don't text them back, they're probably going to get pretty pissed. They know you have your phone. Facebook Messenger, Instagram, all of this stuff. I didn't have to deal with any of it. So I don't know what advice to give about any of it. And so much of our business runs through that. But I knew that Mark and Jill, who are my mentors, they do have some time management that they're trying to work with themselves. Like they put their phones away at 8:00 at night. They have I think it's 1 hour. It's a technology-free hour in their house. And they just, from 8:00 to 9:00, they don't have a phone. One of the things that I thought about doing for myself was putting a landline back in my house so that I could turn my phone off and anyone that really needs to get a hold of me can get a hold of me. So I hope I'm not too, you know what, you guys, I'm just blathering. But that's 2006, personal development. So here's the seminars that I recommend. And I'm not saying you guys do this, but they're just my favorites. If I was going to talk out loud to myself, I would say Landmark Forum, 100%. And then I would back that up by saying I wouldn't recommend that anyone goes and does the Landmark Forum just to do the Landmark Forum. I would recommend that you guys are in it. Like you're in it for the Landmark Forum and the advanced course, because it's really one course. Jake Dwyer, Heather Schwartz, Mark and Jill Addy, Kristen Adelphi. I don't know how many President's Team members I can name off. That Michael Katz, Andrew Coltman. We all did that work. So there's free stuff on YouTube. There's free stuff on Spotify. There's free content. But I can't tell you that I built my check on free stuff. Obviously, if you're paying for it, you're going to get a little bit more out of it. And let's see. Oh, these are some of the things that I wrote down. On top of not having a TV, it's interesting that Mark Zuckerberg does this, but I had one outfit. I wear the same thing. If you guys can even find pictures of me on the internet, because I try and stay off of it, I'm wearing the same SHIT. I wear the same shirt. I wear the same pants. And if I'm working out, I wear the same pants and I wear the same shirt. And if you see me at an event, I have 3 suits. They're nice suits, but I'm not buying any more suits. So you guys, I guess the point there is I'm not saying you have to have 3 outfits. Just you guys want your life down to where you don't have to think about it. Just like if you're any of you guys that meal prep, you know that when you do your meal prep on Sunday, you don't have to think about it Monday, Tuesday, you eat better. If your intention is to build some kind of an income with Herbalife that can maybe take over your rent or take over your existing income, like with say your job, I would simplify everything. In fact, if I could recommend anything that's kind of off the cusp, I know a lot of people will be like, read this personal development book, read this book on leadership. This is my favorite stuff right here. I will put this on record. I think this has made the biggest difference in my life. Feng Shui. Feng Shui, like my space, my little apartment, and as everything's gotten bigger, it's kept me organized. If you're not organized, good luck, because when you guys get to the president's team and the millionaire team and you think you have problems with money when you don't have it, wait till you guys are making, and Herbalife's paid me very well for the past couple of years. I haven't really been to an event or a meeting, but they pay me $30,000 a month, which is stupid, almost to the point where I feel guilty. But you got to organize, because you're going to pay taxes and you're going to have a corporation. You guys are going to have all this stuff. I didn't think when I was writing $10,000 a month goals in my journals and things like that, it's not that I didn't think I would actually do that. I didn't know what it was going to be like. So I'm so ADD, but I'll try and put all this stuff in a nutshell for you guys. My point is personal development. If I were talking out loud and someone were like, hey, I want to get to the GET team, I want to get to the millionaire team, what do I need to do? I'd say get your ass in a seminar. Yeah, there's a ton of free stuff that you guys can get on YouTube, but you better step it up. Put your money where your mouth is, get in a seminar, put your butt in a chair, and those seminars aren't cheap and they're not short. You're talking, your friends and family be like, what are you doing? Is it a cult? Is it all that stuff is totally weird. Herbalife is weird, but if you guys want to make weird income, you got to get weird. The other thing is when I was just saying feng shui, it doesn't have to be feng shui for you guys, but you might want to look it up. That's something you can look up for free. All it is getting organized. It just means like your love and relationship, your wealth and prosperity, your knowledge and wisdom. If you guys don't have a plan for your business or your personal development, how in your life are you expecting to gain more money? And if you don't have a plan for what to do with that money, how are you going to keep that money? Making the money is easy. Keeping it has been a lot harder for me. I've spent a lot of money on stupid stuff. And I mean, it's fun, but I don't know. So what I'm saying is get organized. Whiteboard. Cyrah, you got a whiteboard. That goes in with your organization. So the whole plan your work your plan, maybe you can share that with your team. I'll work with you. It's not something to go over on this call, but when I first started, Mark had this whiteboard in his apartment, and he used to track everything, like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And for those of you that are into The Secret or the law of attraction or manifesting things, it is what it is. You guys put it out there in the world, in the universe, and through your language and your thought, and you back it up with action. You don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but for me, it happened. Everything happened. I used to have a screensaver on my computer. It was a Lotus Exige. Jake Dwyer and I used to go down to Beverly Hills after the STS. We're broke. The only food we ate other than shakes, we would get these bars because we'd work so many Herbalife booths. So we would go home with bars. I can't even eat protein bars anymore. I ate so many. We would go to the Lamborghini dealership. So Brian just got his Murcielago. I'm getting a GTR. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy cars. I probably shouldn't buy a car, but I really like it. But you guys can do things like bring presents to Christmas or a birthday party. I used to not go to birthday parties because I didn't have presents, and I wouldn't go to dinners because I didn't have money, and I didn't go. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone that says, oh, money, it's not everything. Well, I lived that, like literally not having any money. I didn't have a bank account till I was a millionaire team. I would have my checks sent to my mom. My mom would wire them to me because I had overdrafted so much. I lived on overdraft. I would, to this day, it still happens. Like when the waitress comes and she brings my, the envelope for whatever it's called, the folder with your check, and like get that pit in your stomach feeling like, oh my God, she's going to tell me that it didn't go through. I mean, it's amazing how much money for me, and I don't know about you guys, but it really ruled my being. So, long story short, here I am. I live in, I moved out of LA about 2 years ago. I built a 2,500 square foot, $100,000 CrossFit gym. I went from a studio apartment to, life is ridiculous. I got a place in Kauai. I've spent so much time traveling in the last couple of years, and I'm not saying this stuff to be like, oh, you guys, life, look how great it is. But I do have to tell people that like a high school dropout, someone who didn't really even, I don't want to say I didn't believe it would happen for me, but it was so far-fetched that when it did happen, when I did hit Get Team, Millionaire Team, President's Team, and by the way, I didn't make any money really for 4 years. 4 years, nobody in Herbalife changed pins. You guys are at a time in Herbalife where people are like, 7.5 mil team, brand new press team. We never saw that. And if somebody hit the Get Team, they talked on stage for an hour and a half. And we were like, oh my God. And it just never, so if you guys can imagine, and I know people have been working for a really long time and pins haven't changed, but I guess I'll just start to finish it up with this. The market is coming back. It's not because I'm hyping anybody. And the reason I'm working is because the market's coming back. We've seen Herbalife go through the Jenny Craig stage, and then we saw the Herbalife 24 stage where people were getting, there was a lot of people that came in the business because of Facebook or whatever. A lot of people went out and did NPC competitions. A lot of people got great product results. A lot of people got the pin, lost them, whatever happened, people left the business, and now you have Herbalife Nutrition. And a lot of people that are still here might be a little bit tired. It's kind of like you're running the marathon and you're in mile, 24 and you're like, it's 2 miles, but I'm done. It's like, no, get to work right now. Go to the events. Don't go to the events alone. Get organized. Everything you did in the past 2 years, I'm not saying throw it out, but you better take on some new skills and add some stuff to your toolbox if you guys want to see your business change. Because you can be, I hear people say this all the time. I've been doing Herbalife for 4 years, or I tried Herbalife and, or people will say, oh yeah, they did Herbalife, but they quit. And in my head, I'm going, how are you going to quit a business that you never actually started? Because if you haven't gotten to the Get Team and collected a $4,000, $5,000 check, or a Millionaire Team, $10,000 check, President's Team, $20,000 check, someone that collects a check like that and goes, you know what, it's not for me. That's quitting Herbalife. If you just got here and you hung out, you went to meetings and you tried and you got some clients and didn't work, it's like, take a break. Give yourself a break and then reapproach it with maybe a different approach. Maybe you try some things a little bit differently, but if you're not doing personal development, it's square peg, round hole. It's the same you approaching the same problem with the same you. And so, my biggest problem has always been me. And with that, all that being said, I hope I'm not leaving too much. I ramble, but for me, thank you, dude. It's been really awesome to kind of go over all this stuff that, in the last, it's almost been 10 years for me. I am a 15K executive president's team member. I mean, like I actually have that business. I'm proud of that. Like my business is solid. I've been able to just meet the best people ever in Herbalife. It really is a family. And when you guys get on you guys got to go to, I don't know if you're Disneyland fans, but I went there years ago. I went to that wave pool out in Orlando. And now that Herbalife's having a vacation, I can't wait to get in that wave pool with like all you Herbalife. I'm just like, I was there with my girlfriend at the time, but man, that place is going to be fun. There's alcohol and fake waves, and Herbalife people get rowdy. I went to Costa Rica. I've been all over the world with the company, but yeah, I mean, I would make that your benchmark thing. We have extravaganza coming up. It's going to be awesome. We have January Spectacular, but extravaganza is really the hype event that kicks off the year for me. So if you guys are planning out your year and you got your whiteboard that Cyrah went out and got, it's a great opportunity for you guys to keep your plan in front of you, organized, to have your accountability partner or your sponsor or somebody that's going to hold you to whatever it is your goals are. Work quarter to quarter, and I don't know how long it's going to take or how many times you have to do it, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I'll be excited to meet any of you guys that are coming out here to Extravaganza. I know some of you guys are going to Atlanta, and I wish you guys all the best. Enjoy it. Sometimes when it sucks, that's the time that after you've had your success, maybe that time that it sucked, that's the most important time. I have to tell you, my mantra for whether it's running an ultra marathon or it was going through buds for the SEALs or whatever, it's like when it sucks, I'll give you an example. Go outside, you're broke, you're overdrafted, you have no money, rent is due, and you get your car towed. That actually happened to me. I parked in front of a fire hydrant. And I'm not kidding. I wasn't like posting this to Facebook or saying it to make somebody else feel some kind of way. I was just saying to myself, okay, this is where somebody else quit. And if your road to success was so easy, there'd be a lot more millionaires in the world. And you don't have to have $1 million in the bank to be a millionaire in Herbalife. When you bring home $5,000-$6,000 a month, and your time freedom is wide open and you have that time to spend with your family, but that check shows up, that's $1 million lifestyle. I mean, it's insane. Anyone that I know that makes the kind of money that I make does not have time to go mountain biking with me in the middle of the day. They're busy, they're working. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. If you guys have any questions, I don't know if you want to do a Q&A, and I do apologize for rambling. That's what I do. That's why I don't get on stage. It's not my thing. But dude, how do I mute out or?
Oh no, stay on, man. We just want everybody give them a silent clap, man, because that was crazy, especially for me, man. Like, oh my goodness, we were just sitting here, just laughing with you, and just all the things, man. We have so much in common, man. Like, I hope that we can continue this friendship. I'm gonna be selfish right now. I just want to get some Sean juice. I need some Sean juice in my life. I need to come to where you at, shake your hand, just rub it all over myself.
Oh, you're there.
Man, amazing. Yeah, I know some people did have questions, and we still have time. We got a good 8 minutes. So
as much time as you want. I'm not going anywhere. So.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I know Megan had one, and then if anybody else wants to go, just raise your hand on here, or just put a message in the chat. So we'll start with Megan.
Yeah. Sean, I just want to say thanks again. It's crazy. I don't know. I know that there's like a couple of like brand new members on the phone, so they're not even familiar and understanding what the lineage is. But for me, like when I first came around, we were kind of phasing out of active nutrition. So for me personally, you were just a name. You were kind of just like a phantom guy who I had never really seen. I never heard you speak, but I hear all these stories about you. So it says a lot that you take the time out to just talk to us. So thanks again for being here and sharing, everybody. And I know, I think Ryan just said something about your transparency. I just think that's the coolest thing about you. We hear people say the same thing over and over again. And I know it's like to pump people up, but I just love hearing, the ups and the downs and like, the truth from you. But anyways, my question, I heard you talk about in the beginning how you were how you said you felt weird or you had an issue asking people for the money. Was there something specific that like got you over that hump in asking people for money, or did it just people started giving it to you so you weren't? How did you get over that? Was there something specific?
Yeah. Am I on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's great question, because that's still a big thing. So the question was, how did I get over asking people for money? So, okay. So two things. First, I had to identify where that came from. And I did that while I was in a seminar called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. You guys can find that on YouTube. It's by, I'll write it on a piece of paper. The author's name is T. Harv Eker. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Maybe I'll give that to you, Cyrah. I mean, this is a book about your relationship with money. And it said, he basically talks about how we've all inherited this relationship from our parents because that's who you grew up with. And I grew up in a lower middle class town, and my family didn't have money. My parents were divorced, which wasn't normal in the 80s. And so I lied all the time. I went to a different school every year almost because my mom, we'd move around a little bit. So I, like a kid, you make stuff up. And for me, in order to, I didn't want people to know that my parents were divorced because that wasn't normal. I didn't want people to know that we were poor. Like I never had lunch at lunchtime, and people would be like, or teachers would be like, "Where's your lunch?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not hungry." So the money thing came from this. If I had $1, I would give it away. And I think part of it was because I genuinely wanted, to share what I had. But the other part was because I didn't want people to think I was poor or I needed it. Does that make sense? And so when I figured that out, how I got over my thing with money was like I said, two things. One, I understood now where it came from. And then two, it was like, okay, I had to understand that people, like it was part of the building a business part. It was like, if someone didn't go through the steps of investing in the product, because my ultimate game plan was to have a member on my team. And so if they didn't pay for the product, it was like what do you call it? Like an interview. Like it was like what is that called? Anyways, they would pay for the product. They earned the right now. And like, okay, I know they really want it. Cause I spent you wouldn't believe, I've probably given away in the thousands of dollars of product because I was so uncomfortable. So I got so tired of people burning me on that. It was just like, fuck this. You're paying for it. So that was one. And two, it was recognizing that if they didn't pay for it, then the end game wasn't really going to work anyways. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of and it just shows the importance of personal development because you have to know that you are the source of all your problems. If you're not at the millionaire team, or you're not at the president's team, or you're not at the get team, or you're not making the kind of money, or you're not getting the clients that you want, it's all you. It's nobody. There's nobody out there. It's you. Yeah. And that's the only thing that we can change. You can't change people. You can change yourself. And being around a group of people that are doing that, and that's why Herbalife is so powerful, is because we all are working on ourselves, and you get an opportunity to be around people and see them transform. And just like by you guys asking me to be on the call, I haven't been this person. I've been like mountain biking and doing stuff. And I was like, okay, all right, I got to like reflect and see what I can bring to the table so that it's something of value. I'm not wasting anyone's time, which, 60-40. I think 40% of you guys got your time wasted and the other 60. All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cool, guys. So much in common, man. I would say the same things. I'm like, am I wasting your time? I'm like, ADD is like, that mind just races.
We're all just having a chat. There's no time wasted. But I think everyone should ask a question, even if you feel like it's not something that's really important. Just to hear yourself ask the question and to get the answer, to be like, I'm full of crap. I didn't need the answer to that. Or what's something that you guys are stopped on? What's something that I said that maybe was like, what the F? I don't want to do, like what was something? And that's what I want to hear from.
Anybody?
Shoot, I have another one.
I think somebody.
If somebody's unmuted.
Well, yeah, anybody.
Did somebody just unmute? Okay, so were you always like a personal development guy, or did that kind of come hand in hand with the beginning of your success? Because I hear you talk about like the feng shui thing. Like some people are into that before they even have like a space to organize. Right.
Okay. Good question. So I'm not assuming anything, but I'm just going to pretend like there's other broke people on the phone. I had this philosophy about being broke. I knew that if you didn't have money, you couldn't be fat because you would never get a girlfriend, okay? If I was going to be a guy about it, as said by a 24-year-old, I would say this. If you're broke, you're not going to get laid. If you're broke and fat, you won't get laid. So like the feng shui part of it, I had a studio apartment, but that didn't mean that I had to live like a slob. So the cool thing about feng shui, I do like that design. I do like China. I like things that, you know, I don't want to explain. Just like you, Cyrah, martial arts my whole life. So what's interesting is the art of placement of things, and there's different energies in your home. So there's like your health and wellness. There's your love and relationship. There's your knowledge and wisdom. There is your helpful people. There's your family area. So by doing that, I'm consciously putting energy into these areas of my life. So with the whole, have I always been a personal development person? I think I've just been around people that have consciously, whether it was martial arts, there was some form of that happening. And I think if everyone looks in their life, they go, well, there was one person, you look at all the people around you, you go, there's one person where nothing's working out for them. They're always complaining. They never, you never see them. You like see them coming. You're like, oh crap, here comes, you know, whoever it is. And they're going to be complaining. And then there's that one relative or person or friend, and they got it all worked out. Well, I would figure out some character traits about those people. And I had that going on in my family. I had relatives that were just, things were working out, and I had relatives that were complaining. And, you know, whether it was Mark Addy later on in life, who's my sponsor, or if it was Jake, who was one of my roommates, you would see these things that would pop up for people. I'm telling you, being organized or saying feng shui, and people would even call Jake and I OCD. You know, that's just what people that are messy call people that are organized. So yeah. I think if you guys take anything from the call, if you guys get organized, something's going to change financially for you. You'd be amazed.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time, Sean. I feel like everybody's complete right now, seeing as though there's no more questions. I see Cyrah on here dabbing on them.
I got one more. I got a question.
Oh, okay. Go for it, Ellen.
Hey, what's going on? Just want to tell you, I appreciate you, Sean. I'm Ellen, Moose Juice, Active World Team, been in the business 2 years. So I know, like, me and you have some similar things, because, like, how you talk about being broke and stuff. Like, I joined Herbalife for money. I didn't care really about, like, products. Like, I tasted Bev Mix, and I was like, it's like Kool-Aid, but what about the money? Like, because I didn't have no money. I used my last $73 to sign up. So I was wondering, like how you said, like in the first 4 years, how you didn't really make that much money. Is that because you really weren't good with money? Because I'm not good with my money, and I'm like going on my first cut of get. So it's like, I know what you mean when you say, when you get a lot of it, it get even harder, because I already could picture it. But I'm just trying to see, what did you do, like, to try to get better? I know get organized, obviously, from the last question. But what else? Because it's like, I know it's coming, but it's like, if I can't handle this, what I'm going to do? Like, so I feel like we got a lot in common with that. So what did you do?
Nice. Okay. So the question was, and thank you. The question that I heard was, what do you do about getting organized so that you could set yourself up to win with money? Yes, getting organized. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. There's no shortage of, YouTube is such a resource. There's probably other things that people use. I don't know. Is there something different? YouTube, I've always just gone on it, and I could put in like T. Harv Eker, or I could put on Eric Thomas, and I could just, based on the suggested videos, I would find stuff. So if you guys are having the intention of creating some kind of cash flow, wealth, money, income, however you guys are going to call it, from Herbalife, then yes, that's a great question. How do we get organized with that? And I'd love to hear back from you. Like, I'm just going to ask the question back to you. How do you get organized? Go out, do a little bit of research. You guys could put put something together, Cyrah, for your group, like for people that really are coming out and they're like, hey, listen, maybe this is not the, what's the word? Like, maybe this isn't the coolest thing to talk about, like the fact that we're broke and that we want money, but gosh, I mean, to not talk about it, I feel like is this, it's an elephant in the room. And to just be like, I want to change people's lives, but you're stressed out about your rent. Listen, if you can't pay your bills, if I ever had someone that couldn't pay their bills or whatever, and you're stressed out, it's like, don't go talk to people. Don't go get a customer. Don't talk to your existing clients because you will ruin it. So you want happy, stress-free. It's almost like get your finances figured out and then do Herbalife. Because when people come to Herbalife with no money, and then all of a sudden it's like you get a client on the phone and it's like, are you going to reorder? They can feel that. They can sense that. So we have to manage ourselves in a way where it's like money is just, it's not something we don't have. It's just something to manage. And that's the cool thing about Herbalife. You have a network of people. And just by the way, going back to that, if you have a problem with money and your intention is to make more money, that's a great thing to talk to people about, because you might create a network of people around you. Like today I was at the CrossFit gym and I was like, man, I'm like, I've lost a lot of muscle. I want to do this. There was 5 other guys that wanted to do what I did. Doesn't matter what it is. And we said, we're going to get a group together and we're going to do that. So whatever's going on in your life, that's your business. That's your, whether it's not having money or having money or not being organized, everything that I've talked about where you guys might have questions about later, I would say go out and talk to people, because if you're only talking to them about nutrition and Herbalife, people are going to start to avoid you. But if you're doing your life and you're taking yourself on, personal development, if you're getting better, if you're acknowledging where you've been really crappy at life, people are going to be attracted to that because you're being vulnerable and they go, you know what? Me too. And you might find that there's this whole circle of influence that you have that you never tapped into because we've been doing the same square peg round hole. So hopefully that helps.
That's really good. Great question, Ellen. Man, he's killing it. Daniel Okafor. All right, I got Daniel Okafor. Go ahead, Daniel.
All right. I got a question for Sean, right? Sean.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sean. I Googled you, and of course there were a couple of Sean Meagher, but I Googled Sean Meagher Herbalife, and I was very impressed, about, especially your background coming from the Navy SEAL. But the question I would like to ask you is this: how have you been able to manage, your transition, from your career from the Navy SEAL now as an entrepreneur? So how have you been able to manage this time and to make success out of it?
Great question. Okay, so my transition from for the SEAL teams,
Yeah.
that's a tricky one. I did everything SEAL team. I wasn't in a war. Okay, I'm not a war hero. I never did any of that stuff. All right, I went through all the training for the Navy SEALs. When we made that video, they were really they really wanted to talk about the fact that I'd been through all the SEAL training. I don't like saying Navy SEAL just because when I went through, it wasn't as popular. Now all of a sudden people are Navy SEALs everywhere. I'm legit, but my friends died in a war. I didn't, so it's that. So I'm going to put that to the side on the Navy SEAL part. I already was out of the military for a few years by the time I got to Herbalife. I'd been working in film. So managing my time, I had walked away from working in Hollywood. I did a bunch of movies. I worked in stunts, actually, which, yeah, I mean, sounds cooler than it was. But no, I did that for years, and I was working with the top stunt guys. To this day, they're still the top, and good friends of mine. I surf with them, and they said, Sean, you don't want to do this. And so when you're asking me how I managed my time, I walked away from film. I had 24 hours in a day. I had no money, and I had all the time in the world. So I know you guys are coming from a place where you're working and you have to fit Herbalife into your life.
Yeah.
I hats off to you guys. It's almost better that way because you're more, more effective with the small time that you have. So when you get into time management and you go, okay, well, I get off work at 5, I've got to work out and I've got to do some follow-up calls, then you do it. In my time in Herbalife, the biggest problem I see is when people have all the time in the world. We're in LA. There's a lot of actors. There's a lot of people with a lot of time. They have 24 hours in the day and they go, well, I'll just get it done some point today, and they never get anything done. So for those of you guys that have a job and you're working, I say, going back to the whiteboard, going back to the organization, going back to doing personal development seminars of some point, the difference between living paycheck to paycheck, the difference between having a nice car and buying your parents a nice car, the difference between buying a house and buying your parents a house, you could live your life and get by, or you could just blow the doors off the whole thing, is probably investing in personal development. Time management, all that stuff. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm telling you guys.
Good. Awesome. Thank you for that question, Daniel. And Daniel Okafor is somebody who he's already got that mindset. I know he's gone so far. He was actually driving for Uber at Chicago Extravaganza. And I just told him straight up, Sean, I was like, my name is Cyrah. I'm a health coach. You're going to get a lot of business this weekend because all these people are here for Herbalife. He started asking me about it. He came to the HOM, and his wife, how far along is she now, Daniel? Yeah, they're about to have a new addition to the family. 1 month? Let me unmute you real quick. I want to know how soon. What'd you say?
She's 30 weeks so far. 7 months. 7 months.
7 months. So,
so she's due in in August 23rd.
Look at that. So 2 more months. So, and then I met them, and they came, and they already have that mindset. I know it's going to happen. And what she asked me was tell her the marketing plan. So I started telling her the marketing plan, and she was like, no. Start from the top. And I was like, okay, so it's president's team, and it's like organizational volume. So they're already crazy. I know it's going to happen. My man Ryan, he's a veteran as well. He was in the Army. He said, I think he's frozen right now, but he said you were so transparent. Ryan, did you have something to say to Sean?
I admire Sean in all aspects. I remember when I first got started in the business, or the first time, 2012, and Garen had his meetings at his house, the old house, the condo.
Yeah.
And it was him, Tara, and Sean was there. And I was just, sorry, I'm doing sprints right now. I was attracted to him in a lot of ways because, for one, he was a Navy SEAL. I wanted to be a SEAL. I didn't do it, but I was infantry. We all fought the same war, just different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
And I admired everything about him. And I've been following him since, and, just to hear his story all over again, Sean, I haven't seen you or heard from you since, I want to say, Chicago Extravaganza, when I ran into you. So this has been a long journey, man. I'm glad to still see you a part of it, and glad to be in the fight with you still.
Nice,
Awesome.
brother. Got a beard, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. I didn't have the full-on beard yet, huh?
Yeah.
Operator life.
Yeah. All right. Good to see you, man. You're looking good. I'll see you. Are you going to be here in LA?
I will.
All right. I'll see you in like a couple weeks, man.
Sounds good. All right, bro.
Later.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody's time. Sean, on behalf of everybody, again, we appreciate your time, brother. You was crazy amazing. It's not even a word for it. We definitely needed it. We got some action steps we know what we're going to do after this. Guys, if you don't have your extravaganza ticket, flight, hotels, get it now. Call distributor relations and see what the rate is for you. If you're a new supervisor, you get the early bird rate of $90. I believe the tickets are, $110 now? $110 right now, but it's well worth it. You heard it from the horse's mouth. He said, invest in yourself. Go to that personal development seminar. Herbalife, $110 is a bargain compared to, $40,000 that this man has invested in himself at these other seminars, Millionaire Mindset and Landmark and a lot of those things. So, guys, get in that hot tub. Stay in it. We appreciate you guys. Next week, we're right back here at the same time. We're not going to have Sean, so I hope you guys really appreciate it and enjoyed it.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna get on your call and listen to whoever's talking next week.
For sure. Yeah.
Isn't the Extravaganza sold out right now?
Yeah.
Or did they reopen it?
I didn't want to tell him.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it's
Not in
sold out, but
Atlanta, though.
Long Beach is sold out, but the A.
oh, that's right. Yeah, Atlanta's still open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cyrah. Thank you everybody for listening, and good to see everybody.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Appreciate it.
I gotta go on.
Hey,
Everybody.
yo.
Rest of the week.
Yo, yo, yo.